Welcome to the Soul Hypno Vibe Podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Jocelyn and I'm so excited to welcome you to the Soul Hypno Vibe Podcast. We're here to explore the power of meditation, manifestation, and so much more. We're bringing you fresh, up-to-date insights on everything from mindfulness practices to personal growth and living your best life. But here's the best part. Each week, we're bringing in a range of amazing hosts and special guests who are experts in various areas of meditation, manifestation, and personal development. Every episode is packed with new perspectives, inspiration, and ideas to help you make real changes in your life. If you're loving what we're talking about and want to be part of the Soul Hypno Vibe community, don't forget to join us by subscribing to our podcast. And if you'd like to show some extra love, you can always buy us a coffee to help keep the good vibes flowing. Just follow the donation link in the description below. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's conversation. We can't wait to have you on this journey with us.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to be looking at a request that we got on manifesting abundance.
Okay.
With a special focus on the teachings of Bob Proctor, Greatness Podcast. And you might recognize his name because he was also featured in the movie The Secret.
It's interesting you chose this topic. You know, so many people struggle with the idea of abundance.
Yeah.
And Bob Proctor's story is really interesting because he went from having very little to creating massive success.
Yeah. It's pretty inspiring to hear how he kind of turned his life around in his late 20s just by reading Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
Like, he really seems like he's cracked the code. It comes to not just attracting wealth, but really understanding how our minds work.
It's not just about wishful thinking, though.
Right.
He really drives deep into the mechanics of the law of attraction, arguing that it's actually secondary to what he calls a law of vibration.
Okay, so how does that work? Is it like we put out good vibes and good things come back to us?
It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Bob Proctor explains that our thoughts actually control our vibration.
Okay.
And that vibration then dictates what we attract into our lives. It's almost like a magnetic force.
Right.
If we're constantly focused on laugh,
Yeah.
we're going to keep attracting more of that.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, if I'm stressed about money and constantly thinking about bills, I'm actually amplifying that problem.
That's exactly what Bob Proctor argues.
Really?
He even mentions this great quote.
Okay.
The trick is really to keep yourself feeling good.
Right.
Which, of course, is easier said than done.
Right. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
The world can feel pretty overwhelming with all the negativity we're bombarded with, especially from the news.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to stay positive when there's so much going on?
That's where Bob Proctor introduces a really interesting concept, the law of polarity.
Okay.
This law states that everything has an opposite.
Okay.
So even in the midst of a challenging situation, there's always some good to be found if we look for it.
So it's not about ignoring the bad stuff. It's about choosing to focus on good to raise your vibration.
Exactly. He even gives some practical actions to boost your vibration.
Okay.
Think of something delightful.
Uh-huh.
Do something kind for someone. Or share a good idea. These seemingly small actions can have a big impact on your overall energy and what you attract.
Now, one of the things I found super interesting in your materials was that Bob Proctor doesn't just talk about manifesting in general.
Right.
He specifically dives into wealth creation.
Mm-hmm.
He even says money is neutral.
Yeah.
It's us who give it power.
That's such a key point.
Right.
So many of us feel trapped by money.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're constantly chasing it.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor argues that we need to flip that script.
Right.
And take control of our finances. He calls it cultivating an abundance mindset.
And he doesn't just leave it at that. He lays out 7 specific steps for achieving that abundance mindset.
Exactly.
We'll get into those later on. And curious, from your experience, what's the biggest hurdle people face when trying to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest challenges is overcoming those deeply ingrained beliefs about money. You know, many of us were raised with the idea that money is scarce, that you have to work really hard for it, or that rich people are somehow greedy or dishonest.
It's almost like we're taught to have a negative association with wealth, which makes it hard to embrace abundance.
Exactly. And those beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Right.
If you believe money is hard to come by, you're likely to act in ways that confirm that belief.
So how do we break free from those limiting beliefs? Bob Proctor does offer those 7 steps
Right.
for cultivating an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Maybe we can unpack those a bit further.
Absolutely. Let's start with the first step,
Okay.
which is all about powerful thoughts. Bob Proctor actually shares his personal mantra for attracting wealth.
Okay.
It's a powerful affirmation about money coming to him in increasing quantities from multiple sources.
I've heard about the power of affirmations before, but isn't it a bit like wishful thinking?
Right.
How does just saying something out loud
Yeah.
actually change your financial reality?
It's not magic, that's for sure. But what Bob Proctor emphasizes is the importance of believing what you're saying.
Okay.
It's about shifting your internal dialogue from one of scarcity to one of possibility.
Right.
When you truly believe you're worthy of wealth and that abundance is available to you, you start to act in accordance with that belief.
So it's almost like priming your mind to see opportunities that you might have missed before.
Precisely. And this leads perfectly into the second step.
Okay.
Bob Proctor is a huge advocate for continuous learning, especially when it comes to wealth creation. He recommends specific books like Think and Grow Rich and The Master Key to Riches, which you actually included in your materials.
Yeah, those books are classics for a reason. They really lay out the mental frameworks for success.
Right.
But there are so many books and resources out there.
Sure.
What would you say is the key to effective study when it comes to personal growth and abundance?
I think the key is to approach it with an open mind and a willingness to apply what you learn. It's not just about accumulating knowledge.
Right.
It's about putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor even talks about reprogramming your mind, which suggests that it's an ongoing process, not a one-time fix.
That makes sense. It's about actively transforming your beliefs and habits rather than just passively absorbing information.
Exactly. And this brings us to step 3, which is a reminder that it's never too late to change your financial trajectory. Bob Proctor himself transformed his life in his late 20s.
Right.
Proving that age is not a barrier to success.
That's encouraging, especially for anyone who feels like they've missed the boat.
Yeah.
Or that they're stuck in a rut.
Absolutely. It's never too late to start cultivating an abundance mindset. Now, step 4 is about providing value. Bob Proctor emphasizes that your earning potential is directly related to the need for what you do and how hard you are to replace.
So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart. It's about finding a niche where your skills and talents are truly valued.
Right. He even provides a formula for determining your earning potential, the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you.
Right.
This is where having a unique skill set or a specialized knowledge base can really pay off.
Step 5 is interesting because it focuses on internal rewards rather than just external validation.
Yes.
Bob Proctor talks about finding satisfaction and purpose in your work.
Right.
Not just chasing money for the sake of it.
He's emphasizing the importance of aligning your financial goals with your passions and values. Money is important, but it shouldn't be the only driving force. When you genuinely enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
And you're more likely to excel and achieve abundance.
It's about finding that sweet spot where passion, purpose, and profit intersect.
Exactly. And that often leads to greater creativity, which is step 6. Bob Proctor encourages us to embrace new ideas and pursue entrepreneurial ventures. He sees this as a way to keep the energy flowing and attract new opportunities.
So it's not just about finding one stable job and sticking with it.
Right.
It's about staying open to new possibilities and exploring different avenues for income generation.
Precisely. And that ties into the final step,
Okay.
creating multiple streams of income. This has become a popular concept in recent years.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
It's about diversifying your income sources.
Right.
So you're not relying on just one paycheck client, about building financial resilience and freedom.
Bob Proctor talks about having money work for you while you sleep, which is a powerful image. It's about building assets and investments that generate income, even when you're not actively working.
So we've covered the 7 steps.
We have.
But I'm noticing a common thread here.
Yeah.
It's not just about the practical steps, but also about the underlying mindset.
That's a keen observation. And that's where the concept of gratitude, which Bob Proctor frequently mentions, comes into play. He calls it the key to mental adjustment and reaching goals.
I'm curious to dive deeper into that.
Sure.
It seems like gratitude is more than just saying thank you. How does it actually work to attract abundance? It seems like gratitude is more than just a feel-good emotion. Bob Proctor positions it as a powerful tool for attracting abundance. But how does that actually work?
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? Bob Proctor and many others in this field argue that gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already have, this shift in perspective, then raises our vibration, making us more receptive to abundance.
So instead of dwelling on bills, I should be focusing on the fact that I have a roof over my head and food on the table.
Exactly. It's about appreciating the good things in your life, no matter how small they may seem. And it's not just about feeling grateful. Bob Proctor actually suggests actively practicing gratitude, like keeping a gratitude journal or making it a part of your daily routine.
That makes sense. It's like training your brain to see the abundance that already exists in your life. But what about those deeply ingrained beliefs we were talking about earlier, the ones that tell us money is scarce or that we're not worthy of wealth?
That's where Bob Proctor's concept of paradigms comes in. He describes them as these mental frameworks that shape our perceptions and actions. They operate beneath our conscious awareness, almost like an invisible force guiding our lives.
So if we have a paradigm of scarcity, it doesn't matter how much we practice gratitude or try to think positive thoughts, we're still going to be limited by that underlying belief.
That's precisely what Bob Proctor argues. He even uses a powerful analogy of a thermostat. If it's set at 65 degrees, it's going to keep the room at that temperature, even if you want it to be warmer.
So how do we change the thermostat setting, so to speak? How do we shift those deeply ingrained paradigms?
Bob Proctor emphasizes the importance of conscious awareness. We need to first identify the limiting paradigms that are holding us back. And this can be tricky because they often operate beneath our conscious awareness. He suggests paying attention to your self-talk, the stories you tell yourself, and the beliefs that keep recurring in your life.
So it's about becoming more aware of those negative thoughts and questioning their validity.
Exactly. Once you've identified those limiting paradigms, you can start to challenge them and replace them with more empowering ones. Bob Proctor talks about the power of repetition, of consistently feeding your mind with positive affirmations and beliefs that support your goals.
It sounds like a process of unlearning old patterns of thought and reprogramming your mind with new beliefs.
That's a great way to put it, and it's not always easy. It takes effort and commitment, but the rewards can be transformative.
Bob Proctor's own life is a testament to that, right? He went from struggling financially to achieving massive success by simply changing his beliefs. It's proof that we're not limited by our circumstances, but rather by our beliefs.
Precisely, and this brings us back to the law of attraction. When we shift our paradigms, we change our vibration, and we start to attract different experiences into our lives.
It's like we're finally aligning our inner world with our outer world, creating a more harmonious and abundant reality.
Exactly, and Bob Proctor, at 85 years old, continues to embody these principles. His story is incredibly inspiring. It reminds us that personal growth is an ongoing journey, and it's never too late to transform your life.
It's been quite a deep dive into Bob Proctor's world, exploring the law of attraction, wealth creation, gratitude, and the power of paradigms. We've covered a lot.
It's amazing how all these concepts are interconnected, and it really highlights the power we have to shape our own reality.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a challenge. Bob Proctor emphasizes gratitude as the key to unlocking abundance. What are 3 things you're grateful for right now in this moment? Take a moment to truly feel that gratitude and see what shifts occur in your life. You might be surprised by the results.